My name is Wendy Roberts. It's nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
And so my artwork is an exploration of texture and color, and I really try to keep it very detailed, but at the same time I find that I like it if the strokes up close look really random almost.
Okay.
So if you go close in on the piece, it really should just look like joyful strokes of color that have an interesting texture, and as you zoom out it should look like the scene, and I like to get into the detail because it's almost meditative for me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And as I'm going along, I'm starting to get to the point where at first when I picked up my paintbrush again, I put it down while I was raising my daughters, and then when I picked it back up I found that I just wanted to tell the very simple story of celebrating the landscapes of Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
They're so beautiful, and what I liked was the idea that you could look at that landscape painting and just imagine being there. If you're stressed out, you're having a bad day, look at the painting and maybe you're in a little bit better place, right? So
well, you're right, because people that do come here want to leave and they have a certain perspective, and so being able to take something along with them that presents that perspective can be extremely valuable for a long period of time.
It just takes you right back to where you were. When I look at these paintings, these are experiences that I've had that have been really significant to me. So when I look at them, it transports me back into not only the place that I painted, but also the experience of creating the piece. So it's a very calming kind of piece. As I'm getting more comfortable back in my element, I'm feeling like I can add figures to it sometimes. And I'm finding that I'm really drawn to start to tell a little bit more complicated story, like the story of my daughters becoming young women. This is something that if I had started to pick up my brush and just jumped straight into that story, I think it would have been too much. But because I've been doing these more simple stories, now I feel like I can take these elements that take more arranging and they take a little more technical comfort with the brush, and I'm starting to be able to tell these stories.
Did you learn by doing, or did you go to school for art, or you?
I went to school, and my dad was an artist, so I really got to cheat. I mean, he just had me holding a brush from the moment that I could hold one.
I just think you could have been a drummer.
Well, yeah, you should talk to my daughter. She's a percussionist, the older daughter in the painting here. She is, so she's like, you can't hold a drumstick like that. You can hold it like this.
And then there's a 9 count, there's a 16 count, there's a 32 count.
Yes.
That's terrific.
Yeah, so he had me learning from a very young age, and he was quadriplegic, which made it very unique. I had a very unusual upbringing. My dad was the one who raised me because he broke his neck when he was 16 years old. He was diving in the canal. He lived in a little rural farm town, same one that I grew up in a few years later, but he was hauling hay, and it was really hot, itchy work, and he dove into the canal after hauling hay, and he just slipped. He'd swum in that canal, swam, whatever the past tense of that is. He'd been there so many times, and this time he just slipped. That's all it took, was one instant. And his entire life was changed. But he managed to do so much with the life that he was given, because when he first had his accident, he was 16, and they told him he would live till 24. He would never be married. He would never have children. He would never probably be able to move his arms or anything. So he became an artist. He found out that after a while he gained this twitch in his shoulder and his bicep only. Only his shoulder and bicep. So he would let gravity do the work of the tricep, and he had this brace, and they would strap the paintbrush to his arm, and then he would twitch.
Oh my gosh.
And his work was every bit as detailed as mine is.
There are people like that are absolutely inspirational.
He was, and
Inspirational.
if you can imagine this, he was so patient. I am not nearly as patient of a mom as he was a patient dad. I think he'd just been through so much by the time he was a father.
Yeah.
He'd been through so many ups and downs and disappointments and frustrations that he was the most patient person I have ever known. And he really never lost his temper at me, and that is something that I wish I could say that I had done with raising kids, but no, raising kids was my frustration and where I learned my patience. So unfortunately, I was not as patient as he was.
Well,
But
thank you.
I tried.
But
At least.
thank you so much. Kiku Falls.
Kipu.
Kipu.
Like kapu, but with an I instead of an A.
Does it mean something different than
No,
tapu?
it still
the
means
same?
forbidden. All the cool places were forbidden.
And this one here, this is this somebody you know, or?
Oh, these are my daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah, these
Oh
are
my
my
gosh.
daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How beautiful.
It's about, I did this piece because they are transitioning out of childhood.
Oh, how sad.
Well, it's beautiful though too. It's like a sunset. It just doesn't last that long, this little time period.
What a theme. That's
Yeah.
beautifully stated.
Yeah, it's actually the theme of why I did everything the way that I did.
Yeah.
And they're just at such nice ages. I think if I could pause their growing at this, I could live like this for pretty much forever. I love this time period.